Welcome to Type Tune Tint. I'm Tom Kranz. Jae Logan has traveled quite a path. 10 years ago, this New Jersey mom suffered from a mystery illness that almost killed her. It inspired her to write a book as a farewell message to her children. But today, she's doing much better. She's written 3 more children's books, solicits other children's authors to join her brand, and is hosting a book fair just in time for holiday shopping. And I'm joined by Jae Logan from her palatial estate in Edison, New Jersey. It's always great, Jae, to talk to somebody who's in the same state. And we're all enjoying really kind of beautiful weather, but no rain whatsoever. So my lawn is very brown. We're going into a drought. How you been?
I've been well, and yeah, I'm feeling the pain of no rain, but I'm kind of happy it hasn't been raining on the weekend.
Yeah, no kidding. Huh? So we last met Jae almost 1 year ago to the day. It's middle of October 2024. A year ago, we spoke with Jae on the occasion of her first book, Mommy Doesn't Look Sick. And this was a book that she wrote inspired by what appeared to be a near-death experience, this weird, mysterious, undiagnosed illness she had, which we'll get to. But since then, you've written 3 more books. You've translated 2 into Spanish. You still have your full-time job. You're still a mom to 2 kids. You're still a wife, and you're still doing all that stuff. And kind of the lead for today's story is you've come up with and are running a book festival in mid-November called the Central Jersey Book Festival, and you reached out. I'll be at this. It's in November 16th. It's in Woodbridge. And tell us a little bit about the brainstorm why you came up with this and how this is all going to work.
So you know how it is when we're trying to find places to table and book fairs. They're nowhere near Edison. They're nowhere near Woodbridge. And, it's great to travel to Roselle and to Collingswood and other places, but why not have one in Central Jersey? Why not have one for the individuals here? This is an untapped market. They're not traveling to Collingswood to buy my book. So I reached out to the Woodbridge Metro Chamber of Commerce, and Holly was just amazing. And she was willing to listen to my idea. She was willing to be behind it 100%. We spent a couple of months finding the perfect location. And I think the Ross Street School is an amazing location. They just rebuilt the school. It is brand new. It is beautiful. And the principal supports us 100%. So I'm excited that we were able to offer this opportunity to independent authors and, just get us in front of our audience, and we can make them love us.
So how many authors do you think are coming, and are they mostly Jersey folks?
We have, I believe it's definitely over 40. It's probably around 44 now. And there are a lot of people from Jersey. Our headliner is from Long Island, though, and that's Brimstone. He is a professional wrestler turned author, and he's just amazing.
So that's cool. I'll be there, and you'll be there, of course. It's Saturday, November 16th. Daytime event, 11 to 5 in the Ross Street School. It's in a classroom or a multi-purpose room or something, I'm guessing.
It's in the gymnasium that they just redid, and it's the size of an NBA court. So we have plenty of room.
All right. So there'll be tables and authors and books for sale and authors available to chit chat with. And it's going to be mid-November. So those of you looking for holiday gift ideas, ding, 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 let's go buy a book for our families.
Yes. Just to add that Santa will be there from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. And if anybody purchases the book, you can get a free picture with Santa, and he will also autograph your book along with the author.
Oh man, deluxe. All right. I guess I'll have to stay until 5 then, because, I might want a picture with Santa myself, So a year ago, we talked about your first book, Mommy Doesn't Look Sick. And if you can tell us in less than like a half hour, tell us what inspired that book and what happened to you. And this was some years ago, right now?
It's actually 10 years this year.
Wow. Okay. So, but it's obviously this was a huge event in your life, and it's still kind of unfolding more or less, but tell us what that's all about.
Right. So I had a really bad stomach ache, and I thought it was no big deal. Let it go. By the end of the week, I was in the emergency room. They realized I had blood clots in both my lungs. They didn't think I was going to make it the night, and I had to say goodbye to my children. And then we learned the next night I was supposed to be airlifted to NYU for a liver transplant. And, I made it through those nights. And then when they figured out what the diagnosis was and they started to treat me, then, it was about living that new life with my children of some days I'm exhausted, some days I can't get out of bed, some days I'm in pain. And so I can't do the fun mommy things or go trick-or-treating. And it was about getting them used to that life and getting them to understand that in a way that wasn't like, oh my goodness, mommy's dying, right? Because they were very young at the time. So, I didn't have anything to help me at the time. And as my children got older and we learned to navigate this new life together, I decided to write a book to help other families to start that conversation about invisible illnesses and empower the children to be helpful, because my children were a tremendous resource of help for me while I was ill. And
Sure.
they still
And cool. And of course, they're older now. They're teenagers. I think 14 and 19, you said, are their ages. But at the time, I don't want to let this go. You actually thought you were going to die,
yes.
or you were told you were going to, I'm whatever it was. And that was the
Yeah.
moment when you decided, I got to find a way to tell my kids without freaking them out, basically. Right. And
Yes.
so you figured that out, I guess, you and your husband. And that was kind of that's what the spark was that inspired you to write Mommy Doesn't Look Sick.
Yeah, that and the fact that as time went on, they developed into these amazing human beings who understand what I was going through, even at their young age, and who would help me. And, if I was having a bad day, they would just cuddle up in bed with me and watch TV. And that's very helpful for somebody who's not feeling well. Just to know that you're loved and people want to still spend time with you is just amazing. Like being in your bed all day by yourself can drive you insane. So they were very, very amazing. And then I want other children to have that opportunity and support their families.
But that's cool. So the book is designed for parents who want to try to get a message to kids about illness and about how they're feeling, but also kind of to empower the kids to deal with that in some way, basically, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. So what did end up being your diagnosis?
I have Budd-Chiari disease. And for any of your audience that watches Grey's Anatomy, they're talking about it nonstop now. And I've never heard it spoken about on a show. So I was amazed. And, I do see some inaccuracies with their script, but it's Budd-Chiari disease. And I have it along with it comes 3 different blood disorders that cause me to clot just sporadically.
Yeah,
so I'm on 2 blood thinners to prevent that, and medicine for my liver so it functions normal.
Well, you look good, and you seem like you've got plenty of stuff going on in the years since we last talked. Since you wrote Mommy Doesn't Look Sick, you've written 2 other books, and then you also wrote this book that's not really a book. It's really a book for kids to kind of a blueprint for kids to write their own book. And then you've translated 2 of them into Spanish, and you've got
actually all 4 are in Spanish now.
Is that right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got another book in the hopper from what I saw. Are you writing a sci-fi book that I read?
So yes, I am. I love sci-fi. It's what I love to pick up and read. And I think that's probably where our conversation started when we met. Is, what kind of sci-fi books do you have on this table? Because that's what I love, but it takes a long time to write a regular novel, as you know. And the children's books kind of were easy. So I said, let me push out the ideas I have now. I do have one more children's book in the hopper, and then it's, full time on that sci-fi.
Got it. And so with all the books that you have this kind of sub brand other than Jae Logan, which is Kids That Care Books. What is that all about?
So Kids That Care Books, I'm hoping my goal is that this becomes a familiar logo for individuals, so that when you see this logo, you know that the books that you see are going to be diverse. They're going to teach empathy. They're going to help create better citizens of tomorrow by teaching our children today. And I don't want it to just be Jae Logan world. I want it to be any author that has a book with a specific message to come in and to, write under this logo.
So other authors are welcome.
Yes, absolutely. And I encourage them to pitch on my page, my website, jaelogan.com, go to contact me. And I absolutely would love to hear from other authors that are interested in publishing under this. I would love for it to be a publishing company one day. we shall see.
Well, and if somebody's interested, can they contact you through your website?
Yep, jlogan.com, and just click on the contact.
Okay, cool. So we've talked already about Mommy Doesn't Look Sick. You also wrote something called Holiday Cookies. This looks cool. So what's this book about?
Holiday Cookies is about a mother who bakes cookies for the neighbors. The son walks in, he's like, "What's going on in here? There's so many cookies." And she says, "Well, we're baking cookies to bring to the neighbors. How about you join me?" And so they go on this journey of going house to house to deliver cookies. And in each house, they learn about a different culture, they learn about a different holiday they
Hmm.
celebrate. And it's just this kind of like amazing, mind blowing experience for Kevin. I base it off of, when I was in elementary school, that I used to learn about all different cultures. I still know the dreidel song in my head, and I was probably 8 when I learned it. So, I think it's amazing. I think times have changed and children don't hear enough about other cultures in school. So I wanted this to be kind of that introduction.
Cool. And then you also wrote something called For the Dogs, and there's this adorable video of you reading. You read this book to the dog. Did you really write this to read to dogs?
Absolutely. So a friend of mine said that I should write a book for the dogs. Like, just buy, she goes, dog lovers will buy books for their dogs. I promise you. I was like, I don't know about this, but her name's Marla, and I did take her. I said, all right, you know what, I'm gonna take this tip. I'll see what happens. And then as I started writing it, I would read it to my dog as I was writing it, and if she reacted, I was like, okay, that's a good page. And she's just amazing. My dog loves it when I read it to her, and because I say treats 10 times in the book, and she knows that if she's good, she'll get a treat. But she enjoys it. I've seen other dogs react to it. People have sent me videos of them reading to their dogs. So I figured, I think I need to get in on this game and take a video of me reading to my dog.
Well, and are people buying that book?
They are. It's not the most popular book I have is Holiday Cookies, but this is the close second.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. And your illustrations are done by the same artist, or do you have a different one for each book?
I do different illustrators depending on, offers that they give me. It's very expensive to get an illustrator. So
Yeah.
I shop around, I go for the small business, I go for the people that are starting up. If they're talented, why not give them a chance? And it helps me as well.
You can't go wrong with kids and dogs. What can I tell you?
You
So you did,
cannot.
absolutely.
Although
And
cat people are now fighting me. They want a cat book. And I
yeah,
said, I'm
forget it.
going to get you a cat book.
I did cat duty for many years, never again, and we'll just leave it at that. And then you have something called My First Story Book, which is, it's kind of a book, but it's kind of not a book. Explain that.
So it's a book for children to write their own stories. I've always been creative. I've been writing since I was a child. I absolutely adore it. I think we have very talented children out there. I think of when my kids were small and I had 50 different pictures on my refrigerator. We could barely open the door. And I think that this book will help parents because, it gets all the information into a book, but also gives the children the outlet that they want to write their own story. They've read books. Their parents have read them books. Now they get to create the story themselves, and let's just see where it goes.
So is it kind of a how-to, like a blueprint, or do they actually write in the book itself, or what do they do?
So I have instructions. The cover is pretty blank, so they draw their cover. Inside, I tell them, this is how you fill out your acknowledgement page. Thank all the people that have helped you write this book or that you love. And then on the pages, there's half a page for an image and half a page for writing. And that goes through, there's every 10 pages, there's a stop. And is this the end of the story? Or is this the beginning of the next chapter?
Mhm.
And then they continue at the end. I give them a page for the about the author. This is very important. And then at the back cover, I say, okay, go ahead and write a summary to get people excited to read your book.
You said early on that and you just said again, you've loved writing since you were a little girl, but you only sat down to write your first book when it was Mommy Doesn't Look Sick. So what, how did that actually happen? Did you just, so you had this illness going on and had to talk to your kids. Did you decide one night that I'm going to sit down and start writing this? And did you do the story first and then add the illustrations, or did your artist come up with the pictures first and then you wrote to them? I guess I'm looking for kind of the nuts and bolts of how you did that.
Yep. So I wrote the story probably years before I even spoke to an illustrator because, as an independent author, you have that kind of what gives me the right to just publish a book? There's publishing companies that do this. There's famous authors all over the place. Like,
Sure.
who am I? Nobody cares. And so I held on to it for so long. And then during COVID, I was like, I really want to get this done. And so then I started looking for an illustrator and I explained my story and we actually discussed the story as it went and talked about each picture. The pictures in the book are of my family. So I would send her angles, different angle shots of all of us so that she can get them in there. And I was like, all right, we're ready. And I held on to it for a couple of more months because, hitting that publishing button is so scary for a
Mhm.
first time there. And I did. And then of course, you get the formatting right and all of this, and you get like rejected by Amazon because it wasn't done in a certain way. And
Right.
so once I got through all of that, I hit publish and then I was like nauseous for probably a month. But it was out there.
So you self-publish through Amazon?
Hmm.
So you don't have
And
a traditional publisher?
I do not.
Yeah, I do
And
the same thing. I love the control. That's, I guess, why I like
right.
doing it that way. It's everything. It's all about you, basically.
Right. And then there's Ingram Spark and Barn. Like I start with Amazon and then I spread out to Barnes and Noble, Ingram Spark, and then hope that they love it enough to do an author signing or,
Sure.
that they're distributing it. So
Yeah, you said something that stuck with me when you talked about who am I to have the right to publish a book? That is such a common theme among people who find their art either late or under denial. It's like you have to give yourself permission to do it. I guess that's what I'm getting at. I had this chat with a friend of mine who was a news anchor for a long time, and in her 60s she started sketching, and now she does acrylic on canvas paintings, and she's like, kind of semi-famous in New England, and she's making money to it, but all because she gave herself permission to do that. And it's like,
mhm.
why do we have to do that? That's kind of part of the creative process, I guess, especially if you have a big career, you have a big family. It's like, I don't have time there's almost always time to do that stuff.
Mhm. Absolutely. I think imposter syndrome is absolutely real in the artistic community. We're just like, who am I? And why would anybody buy this? Well, you're gonna get them to buy it because you come up with your elevator speech for your books as you're sitting at a table, and that's how you do it. But it's the first one is always the scariest. I say just hit the button, go forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So marketing is probably the biggest single challenge that independent authors have, because it costs money to do everything, and none of us has this kind of bottomless pit of money. What are your marketing venues? How do you market your books?
So I just started on TikTok. I was fighting it. I'm not a huge fan, but of course I giggle every time somebody shows me a video. And I said, you know what, book talk is real, and people do sell books through book talk. So I decided recently to do that, and my goal is to kind of get a video up every day. But I try to just every time I'm posting, I post either about a separate book. I post about, what's what's going on, where I'm going to be, where you can come see me. I try to keep my website up to date with my calendar. And then I joined a networking group in Edison. And that's actually how I met Holly from Woodbridge Metro Chamber. We're both part of the same networking group. And so I talk to others there, and they give me opportunities to sell the books at different events. Some of them have it in their stores, and I think that's super generous of them and amazing. So it's just constantly pushing and thinking. I just got my hair done on Saturday and sold 4 books to my hairstylist. And she said, bring me more and I'll put them up for my clients to buy. So, I'm just always thinking about how can I sell this, even if I'm just getting my hair done.
So so you do mostly social media.
Hmm.
So you post on, you just said TikTok and whatnot. I guess that's probably my primary way of doing it too. Although I have an email list now with about, I don't know, 600 names on it. That's a good way to go. Have you ever done any like paid advertising, like either online or print?
Actually, yes, print. So Haunted History Productions pushes a pamphlet out every year, and they're amazing. It's just so much fun. I'm actually going to act for them next Friday, and they have this flyer. It goes all year long, and I'm in there, and it has the QR code to my books. I try to put the QR code everywhere that
Hmm.
it's on paper because I want people to just go there. Even my business card has the QR code of where you can purchase my books.
Oh, that's really great. Well, one more time, tell us real quick about the Central Jersey Book Festival coming up in November. Where, when, for how long, and what's there?
So the Central Jersey Book Festival is hosted by the Woodbridge Metro Chamber of Commerce and myself, along with the Woodbridge Public Library. It's November 16th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Ross Street School in Woodbridge. And we do have a sponsor, Northfield Bank, and I was very generous of them. Plus, Minuteman Press is donating Santa, as well as the print material that we're using for the event. So
And it's free to attend, I'm assuming, correct? Anybody can just show up.
Just show up at any point, and we have an amazing list of authors. We have people who write about history, people who write about fiction. We have children's authors. We have a nature author, biography. Like there's just such a beautiful mix of authors that are going to be at this event. And I think that everybody should come out and find the next book and the next author that they're going to love forever.
Cool. Well, I'll be there, and I'm telling all my friends and publicizing it in my little venues here. And tell us one more time things like websites, social media, so I can flash some stuff on the screen for you here.
Yep. So it's jlogan.com is my website. Social media, I am Jae Logan author on Instagram, and at Jae Logan, I think it's -8 on TikTok, and Facebook, just Jae Logan. Feel free to reach out to me at any time on my website or on any of my social media, and I will get back to you as soon as I can.
Jae Logan, one more time, I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure talking to you. You've got great creativity, and I don't know when the hell you sleep between your real job, your kids, the husband, the books, the book fair, all that stuff. But I guess you're sleeping because you're doing great health-wise too. I'm really glad to see that. So thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yes, thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate it.